Alina had always believed in happy endings, the kind where two people find each other, fall in love, and never let go. But her life had become something far more complicated. When she met Daniel, it was like stepping into a memory. He was her high school love, gentle, loyal, the kind of man who brought her flowers just because it was Monday. But Alina had changed. University life had opened new doors, new faces, new thrills. That's when she met Chris, a photographer with a dangerous smile and an artist's soul. He made her feel alive in ways Daniel never could. Then came Aaron, quiet and thoughtful, a friend who listened when no one else did. He never tried to impress her, he just understood her. Alina told herself she wasn't doing anything wrong. She just hadn't figured out her feelings yet. But deep down, she knew the truth. She was walking on a fragile line. Every photo he took of her felt like a confession. He called her his muse, and she loved the sound of that. But even as she laughed with him on late-night drives, her phone buzzed with Daniel's messages. "I miss you. Dinner tomorrow?" She told Chris she had to study. She told Daniel she missed him too. And she told herself she wasn't lying, just buying time. Aaron, meanwhile, noticed her growing distance. "You seem distracted lately," he said softly. "Just tired," she replied, forcing a smile. 3 men, 3 promises, and 1 girl too afraid to choose. Days turned into weeks, and Alina's web of lies grew thicker. Daniel wanted to meet her parents again. Chris wanted her to travel with him for a photo shoot. Aaron wanted clarity. "What are we, Alina?" She couldn't answer any of them, so she avoided, postponed, and pretended. Her friends began to notice. "You're glowing, girl," one laughed. "Who's the lucky guy?" Alina's smile froze. "Just as someone special." The guilt started whispering louder, but she silenced it with music, laughter, and lies. Chris was fire, wild, unpredictable, thrilling. Every photo he took of her felt like a confession. He called her his muse, and she loved the sound of that. But even as she laughed with him on late-night drives, her phone buzzed with Daniel's messages. "I miss you. Dinner tomorrow?" She told Chris she had to study. She told Daniel she missed him too. And she told herself she wasn't lying, just buying time. Aaron, meanwhile, noticed her growing distance. "You seem distracted lately," he said softly. "Just tired," she replied, forcing a smile. 3 men, 3 promises, and 1 girl too afraid to choose. Days turned into weeks, and Alina's web of lies grew thicker. Daniel wanted to meet her parents again. Chris wanted her to travel with him for a photo shoot. Aaron wanted clarity. "What are we, Alina?" She couldn't answer any of them, so she avoided, postponed, and pretended. Her friends began to notice. "You're glowing, girl," one laughed. "Who's the lucky guy?" Alina's smile froze. "Just as someone special." The guilt started whispering louder, but she silenced it with music, laughter, and lies. Chris noticed first. "You never post us anywhere," he said. "What are you hiding?" "Nothing," she lied, too quickly. Then Daniel grew suspicious. "You've been distant. Is something wrong?" "No, just exams," she said, hugging him tighter to hide her guilt. Aaron, though, didn't ask. He just watched her. The way her smile never reached her eyes anymore. Late one night, Alina looked at her reflection and whispered, "What am I doing?" The mirror had no answer. Only her own tired face staring back. Her birthday came with surprises she didn't expect. Chris posted a picture of them together, her in his arms, his caption bold, "To the girl who changed my world, my forever." Within minutes, Daniel saw it. Then Aaron. Her phone exploded with messages. "Daniel, who is he?" "Aaron, so this is why you were busy." "Chris, you didn't tell me you had someone else." The web snapped. Alina's carefully built world came crashing down. The night the photo went viral, Alina didn't sleep. Her phone kept vibrating. Every notification like a heartbeat she couldn't silence. 3 names, 3 unread messages, 3 hearts breaking, all because of her. She wanted to explain, but where could she even begin? She tried calling Daniel first. He didn't answer. Then Aaron, straight to voicemail. And when she finally texted Chris, he only replied with 2 words. "Don't bother." The silence. By morning, her world had changed. Her friends whispered when she walked into class. The same picture that once made her feel beautiful now felt like evidence. A crime scene captured in pixels. She sat in the back, trying to disappear, but guilt clung to her like smoke. She opened her notebook, but the words blurred. Eilina, she looked up. Aaron stood there, his eyes calm. Too calm. Can we talk? They walked outside to the courtyard, where the autumn wind carried the smell of rain. I didn't mean for this to happen, she said, her voice trembling. Didn't mean to what? Lie to me. To all of us. I was confused, Aaron. I cared about you. You cared about everyone, Eilina. That's the problem. He wasn't angry. That hurt her even more. He just looked disappointed. Then he turned away, leaving her alone with the truth. The confrontation. That evening, Daniel showed up at her apartment. I came here to see if it was true, he said quietly. Daniel, please. Don't lie again. She tried to speak, but her throat closed up. Was I not enough? He whispered. You were everything. I just wanted more. Then you should have told me instead of breaking me. He walked out, and for the first time, she didn't chase after him. She knew she didn't deserve to. That night, a message appeared on her screen. Chris, I deleted the photo. I don't hate you, Eilina, but I don't know who you really are. Maybe you don't either. She stared at the text for a long time before replying. You're right. I don't. She put her phone down, looked at her reflection in the window, and realized she was finally alone. Not because they left her, but because she pushed them all away. The morning after. The next morning, Eilina walked outside without makeup, without her mask. The air was cold, but it felt clean, like the world was giving her a second chance. She didn't know how to fix what she'd done, but she knew one thing. This time, she wouldn't lie. The days that followed felt endless. Eilina had lost the rhythm of her life. The good morning texts, the laughter-filled calls, the warm promises that once surrounded her. Now, her phone was silent, and her world felt smaller than ever. She still saw them sometimes, Daniel, Aaron, and Chris in hallways, in cafes, on social media. But their eyes never met hers again. They looked through her, as if she were a ghost from a story they wanted to forget. The weight of silence. At first, she tried to fill the emptiness. She joined clubs, stayed late at the library, even took up photography, ironically, the one thing that reminded her most of Chris. But no distraction could drown out the guilt. Every corner of campus held a memory. The bench where Daniel gave her roses, the art room where Chris snapped their first picture, the cafe where Aaron listened to her stories for hours. She had broken 3 hearts, and in the process, shattered her own. The unexpected encounter. One rainy afternoon, Eilina ducked into a quiet cafe to escape the downpour. She ordered her coffee and looked for a seat, and froze. Aaron was there, sitting by the window, typing on his laptop. For a moment, she considered leaving, but something inside her said, you can't run forever. She walked over slowly. Hey, she said softly. He looked up. His expression was unreadable, not anger, not affection, just calm. Hi, Eilina. She hesitated. I didn't expect to see you here. I come here a lot, he said simply, closing his laptop. It's quiet. There was an awkward silence. The sound of rain filled the space between them. Aaron, I just wanted to say, I'm sorry for everything. He studied her face for a long time before replying. You know what hurt most. It's not that you lied. It's that I believed you. Her eyes filled with tears. I know, and you had every reason to. I'm not angry anymore, he said gently, but I can't go back either. She nodded. Somehow, that honesty hurt less than she expected, because it was real. A step forward. When she left the cafe, the rain had stopped. She tilted her face toward the sky, letting the sunlight touch her skin. For the first time in months, she felt a strange sense of peace, not because things were fixed, but because she had finally faced the truth. Eilina walked home alone that day, but not empty. Every step was a small act of healing, every breath a quiet promise to do better. She couldn't erase the past, but she could choose what kind of person she'd be next. And maybe, someday, love would find her again, the honest kind. Months had passed since everything fell apart. Eilina had rebuilt her days piece by piece, studying, working part-time at a bookstore, spending weekends with her family. The whispers had faded, the judgmental looks had softened, but deep inside, a part of her still carried the echo of her mistakes. Sometimes, when she walked home under the streetlights, she'd remember Daniel's laughter, Chris's teasing smile, or Aaron's soft eyes. She wondered where they were now, if they had moved on. She hoped they had. A new routine. The bookstore had become her safe place. She loved the smell of paper, the quiet hum of background music, the gentle rhythm of normal life. Hey, Eilina, can you restock the photography section? Her manager asked one morning. Sure, she replied with a smile. As she reached for a stack of new books, she froze. A familiar voice spoke behind her. Didn't expect to find you hiding between novels again. Her heart skipped a beat. She turned, and there he was. Chris. Old flames, new distance. He looked the same. Messy hair. Camera slung over his shoulder. Eyes that seemed to carry both confidence and sadness. "Hi, Chris," she managed. "You still remember me," he said with a small smirk. "That's something. It's hard to forget someone who took 1,000 pictures of me," she replied quietly. There was an awkward pause before he spoke again. "I'm doing a photo exhibit downtown next week. Thought I'd drop by, see if you were still around." "That's great," she said. "You always talked about doing that." He nodded. "Yeah, I did. Some of your photos are in it." Her eyes widened. "Gives you when you finally accept the truth." "Mine, why?" "Because even after everything, those moments were real. I can't pretend they weren't." She didn't know what to say. Her throat tightened. "Chris, I'm sorry for how I treated you." "I know," he said softly, "and I forgave you a long time ago." He gave her a small, tired smile, not the playful grin she remembered, but something gentler, wiser. "You've changed," he said. "I can see it." Then he turned to leave, pausing just long enough to say, "Come to the exhibit if you want. You might like what you see." And just like that, he was gone. Reflection. That night, Alina couldn't stop thinking about him. Not out of longing, but gratitude. It felt like closure. The past had returned, not to reopen old wounds, but to show her how far she'd come. She realized that sometimes forgiveness isn't something you ask for. It's something time. The evening air was cool as Alina stood outside. The glass doors of the downtown gallery. Soft lights glowed from inside, illuminating a crowd of people murmuring over framed photographs. A sign near the entrance read, "Moments of Truth, a photo exhibition by Chris Hale." Her heartbeat quickened. She hadn't planned on coming, but something about his words, "You might like what you see," had stayed in her mind all week. Taking a deep breath, she stepped inside. The gallery of memories. Every wall told a story, faces, places, moments frozen in time. She recognized some of them. A beach at sunset, an old cafe, a rainy street corner. And then she saw it. A photo of her. It was black and white, her sitting by a window, chin resting on her hand, looking away. There was no smile, just quiet reflection in her eyes. The title beneath it read, "The Girl Who Forgot Herself." She felt a lump rise in her throat. People around her admired the photograph, commenting on its emotion, its truth. But for Alina, it wasn't art, it was a mirror. That was who she'd been back then, lost between lies, pretending to be someone she wasn't. An unexpected conversation. "Beautiful, isn't it?" She turned and saw Chris standing beside her, hands in his pockets, smiling softly. "I didn't think you'd come," he said. "I wasn't sure I should," she admitted. "I'm glad you did. You deserve to see the truth." She looked at the photo again. "You titled it The Girl Who Forgot Herself." "Why?" "Because that's what I saw in you," he said gently. "Someone who wanted to be everything for everyone, and lost herself in the process." Her eyes shimmered with tears. "That's exactly what happened." "Yeah, but you found your way back," he replied. "I can see that now." They stood in silence for a moment, surrounded by memories captured in frames. "You know," Chris added, "I don't regret meeting you. You taught me a lot about love, and about pain." "I could say the same," she whispered. He smiled. "Maybe someday we'll both get it right." She returned his smile, not the old playful one, but something real, something peaceful. The last photo. As she moved toward the exit, she noticed one last picture. It showed a sunrise over an empty road. Beneath it, the caption read, "Every ending is just another beginning." She smiled softly, wiping a tear from her cheek. For the first time, she didn't feel haunted by the past. She felt grateful for it, every mistake, every heartbreak, every truth, because it had led her here, to forgiveness, to peace, to herself. Spring had returned. The city looked softer now, blossoms on every corner, laughter floating through open windows, sunlight spilling onto the sidewalks. For Alina, it felt like the world had taken a deep breath and exhaled peace. It had been nearly a year since the night her secrets were exposed, a year since she'd lost everyone she once held close. And yet, somehow, she didn't feel broken anymore. She had changed, quietly, slowly, completely. The quiet life. She still worked at the bookstore, still took long walks alone, still smiled at strangers for no reason. But now, her heart didn't ache with guilt. It pulsed with gratitude. Every morning, she wrote a few lines in her journal, reflections, lessons, hopes. On the first page, she had written, "Love begins when honesty does." Sometimes she would still see Daniel walking with someone new, hand in hand. Once, she even saw Aaron laughing at a cafe table with friends. It didn't hurt anymore. She felt proud. They had moved on, and so had she. An unexpected visitor. One afternoon, while she was organizing shelves at work, the doorbell chimed. She turned and froze. Chris stood there, camera bag slung over his shoulder, that same familiar smile on his lips. "You again?" she teased gently. "Couldn't resist," he said, laughing. "I'm moving out of town next month, a travel project in Europe. Thought I'd say goodbye properly this time." She smiled softly. "That sounds amazing. You always said you'd travel the world with your camera." "Yeah," he said, "and maybe this time, I'll finally do it right." They shared a comfortable silence, no tension, no regrets, just peace. "I'm really happy for you, Chris," she said sincerely, "and I'm proud of you." He replied, "You found yourself again." He handed her a small photograph, a sunrise over the city skyline. "For you," he said, "to remind you that even broken hearts can rise again." Her eyes shimmered. "Thank you," she whispered. He gave her one last smile before walking away, his figure disappearing into the golden light of the afternoon. A new dawn. That evening, Eileen sat by her window, holding the photograph in her hand. The colors of the sunrise glowed softly, a symbol of endings and beginnings. She realized love wasn't about having many hearts chasing you, or being needed by others. It was about understanding yourself, learning to forgive, and having the courage to start again. She wasn't waiting for someone to complete her anymore. She was already whole. With a small smile, she wrote one last line in her journal. "I finally found love, and it was me all along."